Okay, today's topic is mindfulness in troublesome situations. That means this is not for a talk, for a mindfulness for beginners. Mindfulness for beginners is a characteristic feature in the learning mindfulness. When Venerable Dhammika was teaching me mindfulness, he was telling we have to be the beginner's mind all the ways. But while practicing, after a while, there may be some trouble situation, difficult situations, and many used to give up mindfulness and meditation, claiming this is a trouble situation, this is a difficult situation. But whenever you are practicing mindfulness, when the mindfulness becomes steadfast, when the mindfulness becomes continuous, then one can try, even with little distractions, little difficulties, you can see at least the beginning of the distraction and the middle of the distraction. After a while, you may see, whenever you are you have the capability, so the beginning of the little distractions, little disturbances, you see that is a kind of a diversification of your primary object, your mindfulness. I would cite an example when we are specifically in sitting, in mindful sitting, we have always appointed primary object or main object. In sitting posture, we are not appointing a visual objects, we are not appointing sounds, not a smell, not a taste, but a touch. That is to say, the touch of the in-breath gushing, in-breath current inside, we call in-breath, and gushing out-breath. Whenever you met up with or face-to-face with this kind of in-breath and out-breath, we can say we have launched, we have started the mindfulness, and we take it as a rail in a footbridge. While we are walking, we always keep the rail in touch it so that you can keep the balance. But while you are practicing like that, usually it is natural to have external sounds, distracting sounds, and some bodily uncomfortable pains, feelings, and some thinking, daydreaming, fantasizing, wandering mind, and eccentric situation. So they appear like usually distraction for your continuity of the mindfulness with the breath. So that is 100% true in samatha meditation, in concentration meditation. That is why when we are hoping and aiming and constructing a meditation center, we try to keep these distractions as much as possible. But your bodily pain and opening and closing the doors, and some patient and people coughing, these can be always be there. And daydreaming, fantasizing. So therefore, many beginners ask, Bhante, when I am practicing 2-3 breaths cycles time, my mindfulness, basically the attention, they call, distracted by a sound or thought or pain. So in the last 1 month, or maybe 6 weeks, in our meditation discussions, I used to raise the question, yes, sounds are happening, therefore your mind is distracted, but during the distraction time, is the breath stops, or does the breath continues to happen? Then without a test, they think and they assure, they confirm, no, even the sounds are happening, breath is happening. How do you know? Please, next time when you are practicing, even the sounds even a thought, even other pains happen, see whether you are not dead, or whether you are sleeping or not sleeping, whether you are awake, whether you are mindful or not. So advanced yogis, I see this is the turning point from the samatha to vipassana. The vipassana inclination, people with the vipassana inclination take this as a challenge. Okay, Bhante, next time if such a distraction happens, I will try to see, while in the distraction, can I still feel, can I still focus onto the breath? And that is a very adventurous thing. And then, if I am the guiding person, I get the notion that particular person is having basic insight inclination, vipassana inclination. So therefore, I am asking, don't consider the distraction as distraction. While in the distraction, even you are in the eccentric situation, there is a chance, there's a possibility you to be aware still the breath is happening or not. I will give a parallel example before going to the depth. While you are walking, there are a lot, because your eyes are open and you are maybe doing in the outdoor. There may be some birds chirping and other sounds, and you may be stepping upon some rocks and pebbles, and there may be some pains. And basically, fairly elderly people always complain about the back pain, always complain about the knee pain. So while they are happening, they say they can't practice smoothly about the walking material. Then I used to ask them, well, I am repeating, for the last 6-7 weeks, this became very frequent. While you are seeing maybe a butterfly, maybe a flower, maybe a bird, or maybe something dirty thing on the road, the walking path, while it is distracting you, are you stopping your walking? Or are you still continue the walking? It won't take so much of time. Even in the interview time, they can say, no, walking is happening. So then I ask, who is walking there? If you claim that you are distracted with the sound and the thoughts and pain, there's a something egoless walking is happening. Imagine, while you are in the distraction, for example, a sound or a visual object, if you can see, you can spy, like a CID person checking at a robber, how is the walking? Walking at that time is perfect, because you are not involved. Your mind is, you are complaining, telling that mind is distracted, but give this trouble a chance. Even if it is happening, you can be aware. There is another sense. We can be aware that walking is not disturbed. Walking is not stopping. And that indicates now you are ready, or you are in a turning point. While the distraction happens, either, I'm stressing this sentence, either you can be in the distraction, or you can spy, you can look at, you can peep at the primary object. Sitting, the breath maybe, or rising and falling on the stomach, or in walking, maybe your left leg and the right leg touching. So when that happens, the adventurous yogis, the risk-loving kind of yogis, vipassana-inclined yogis, they say, I can see. Then I give a challenge. I would ask, why don't you keep on the sound without bringing the mind to the walking? Why don't you keep in the distraction without bringing the mind into the breath in sitting? There you can see, soon you spot, soon you recognize the distraction. It is natural inclination. The mind to come back to the primary object. There's a young girl in Sydney. She participated in the Canberra retreat after the mindful camp. It was a very successful mindful camp, about 90 children. And she also participated the elders session also. And she was sitting outdoor. And while we are sitting on the grass, while we are all practicing in a group, as a group, sitting meditation, and some children were in observing the breath, some children were observing the expansion, contraction of their body, and there were some cockatoos give a very creaky sound. They were flying. After that, there was an interview, and Tiara asked me, Bhante, when I was in outdoor, I was in the breath. But when I hear the sound of the cockatoos, that also in the present moment. That sound also, I can use it as an object of primary object. What is your opinion? Should I come back to the breath, or should I be with the cockatoo? Then I told, who asked you to come to the breath? You can be with the cockatoos. You can be aware. Then elderly meditation teachers and the masters they were shocked. This is, Bhante, you are always telling come back to the primary object, but when the CRI is asking, you are telling you can be either in primary object or distraction. Then I told CRI is much advanced than you. So she can tackle. And we recognize this as a CRR question. We wrote such 100-odd issues. I think first one is a CRS question, a CRR problem. So then I ask her, if a pain happens, don't pull the mind back to the breath or to the walking meditation. Just be with the pain and see. Then the mind natural inclination is to come back to the primary object. That is because you have early practice. That's why I'm telling the mindfulness in troublesome situation is we are aiming at somewhat advanced yogis, people, those who have basic mindfulness, I rather say bare attention, then only this diversification you can try. Now, I would like to go back to the stanza which I recited, that you can find in the Dhammapada Atthakatha as well as in the Atta Danda Sutta. Yang pubbe tang visosehi pacha tema ukinchanang majje che no gahisati upasanto charisati. Before going to the content, as I understand, I would like to relate to the case history, whereby during the contemporary time of the Buddha, in the King Kosala's jurisdiction, in the regime, there were a civil situation, and one area there were rebellions are coming. So King set his team with the leadership with Santati, the minister. He went there and settled down the situation more efficient than the king thought. Then once he come back, king asked him to entertain the king's or kingly facilities for 7 days. Whatever you like, you can entertain for 7 days, and king himself give him a damsel, very beautiful and very skillful in singing, dancing, and everything. And she, I think while reading the story we can hear, she is having anorexia problem. She is not eating, but if she is going to eat, she can't dance. So she was entertaining this Santati, the newly appointed king or assigned king, and dancing. One day, the last day, they went into an open air stadium, and it is a garden. And while she was giving a highest performance, she collapsed on the stage and died, open-eyed and open mouth. And the Santati had so much of affection for that, he can't imagine whether it's a part and parcel of the drama or is she really died. It was such a dramatic thing. And soon he came to know the death of his newly appointed damsel. He found so miserable, listless, and on the way to the garden, he just saw the Buddha is going on Pindapat or alms rounds. And that particular Santati was with the fully garlanded and the will attire. He was riding an elephant. But looking at the Buddha, being on the back of the elephant, he just paid respect. Immediately he remembered, now under this kind of a trouble situation, no one can give me a solace answer. So he ran to the Buddha in a close by place and related the situation, telling that she was so efficiently entertaining me. Today was the last day, and it was end up with such a tragedy. And the Buddha recited this stanza, Yang Pubbetang Visosehi. Whatever may happen, it is already gone. It is a history. Pachatema Aukinchana. Whatever going to happen, don't worry about. That is not, you must not worry. Majje che no gahesati. Present moment also, don't grab hold it. That's such a transient thing, it is passing. So even the present moment, you must not hold into. Not gahesati, not be obsessed with. Upasanto charisasi. Just behave like a calm and quiet person. So this kind of stanzas you find in the Baddekaratta Sutta, you find in the Attadanda Sutta, that past is gone, future is yet to come, present moment is transient. Why you should worry? Upasanto charisati. But I believe those who have experienced it and gone above and far away, advanced person only can solace, give the peaceful mind to troublesome people. But we associate so much of lowly people, they do not know how to give that kind of a dynamic answer. So therefore, when we are living with these people, those who are unmindful, that is the worst case. Best thing is to be unto yourself, but difficult. When the difficult situation happens, so therefore, Samatha meditation, as I understand, always teaching you how to have a concentration, peaceful mind, and deroot all the difficulties. Go right round the difficulties. Therefore, if the difficulty happen, their usual tendency is to find fault with others, or find self-criticism, or understand something wrong somewhere, or try to expect everything must be worked to rule, pedantic. That therefore they will never think about assimilating the answer within. Today education system is utterly misled. Today health system also manori, utterly outwardly. They do not have mental and physical inner belief or trust, because the teachers, they don't have the confidence. So therefore, they are telling, whenever such thing happen, you go to the Kataragama, or you to Anuradhapura, or have this puja and that puja, and the monks in the temples are always happy to give Piritnula and Piritvatura, and that is what it happens. Now I am Bhante, I completed 34th Vassa. I am telling always Venerable Dhammika, when I was at Jetavana Vihara at the 79 and 78, the way he converted, way he give the turning point, even he do not know. And he introduced me to the Nilambi group, and I never expected that kind of a thing. But after 3 years, he lived with us 3 years and he quit to go to Singapore. And within that, this was given, this was incorporated and inbuilt, and slowly it happened to me a adventurous thing, or diversification of mindfulness. But the present day Buddhism, the present day meditation, every time people expect perfect situation for the meditation. If it is something wrong, it is because your assistant is wrong. It is because there are mosquitoes. There are this and that. Of course, that if there are such troubles happen, it is frictional. But your mindfulness should come up to the point where these friction indicate your level of mindfulness, your immunity capacity, how much you are prepared for that. So when I am reading for Venerable Jnanarama, my teacher, I was reading some Webu Sayadaw's books. They were in English, and Venerable Jnanarama wished to know, because he has seen Webu Sayadaw once in Sri Lanka, and Webu Sayadaw, he was the teacher of Uba King, and the Uba King was the teacher of the Goenka system, Goenka Ji. And he says, some people, when in the group meditation, one or the other people start coughing. And then the serious meditator go and ask the Webu Sayadaw, the Burmese Sayadaw, Bhante, how can I meditate? People are coughing. Either they should go out, or otherwise they should not come in to do something like. Then he says, oh, that is a very good thing. You can understand your meditation, your mindfulness is just breakable by just a cough. That's all you must understand. Your mindfulness is such. So next time, go prepare and see after the cough, how quickly you can come back to the breath. And after a while, he asked that particular person, how much the coughing of the other people disturbing you? Then he says, if I go prepared, that coughing can happen. It may give some spikes and ups and downs in my mindfulness graph. But after that, how quickly I can come back to the breath? When that kind of a mindset, when that kind of a preparedness happen, the impact of the cough is less and less. Then Webu Sayadaw is making a statement, you see, that particular person only taught you your mindfulness is breakable by just a cough. Thanks to him, now you know you can be little bit less troubled with the coughing, and one day you may surpass this trouble. At that time, mentally you may thank that particular person, and that particular person was the teacher for me, but you must not be a fool to go and thank that particular person verbally. Just give a thank by heart. Just passing the word of thank as a thought of metta. So this is the way we have to start. And in that sense, the scouting, whereby the first and foremost thing you must learn is be prepared. And the Venerable Jnanarama used to say, if you are be prepared, the impact of the adverse situations are not so inflicting. That becomes so inflicting and disturbing is because your preparedness is not there. So this preparedness indicate how the clear comprehension go in hand with the mindfulness. At the beginning, you start with the bare attention. That's Sati Matra, and then you go to the breath or the primary object or the mindfulness, and when it is steadfast, when it is undisturbed going, you can see the samatha effect, the concentration effect, the transcendence. So there are so much, and if you are imbibed with the concentration and the collected the desire because of your attachment to this thing. But the distractions are natural things. So whenever such thing happen, the teacher must guide them. This is the world. So you must be ready to have little bit of distractions and go prepared with the mindset, whereby the impact or inflicting nature of this distraction will be less and less. That means your immunity level, your non-coercive level, non-reaction attention, and evenly suspended attention, you can try, you can diversify. And after a while, when the mindfulness come up to a certain maturity, certain diversification, you can see distractions also happening in the present moment. Distractions are not hallucinations. They are happening, but you change the object from the touch sensation of the nostril to the sound sensation of your eardrum, or maybe some visual objects at your eye door, or maybe some smell at your nostrils. So the changing of the object is not necessarily a distraction for mindfulness. Concentration, yes. Focus is yes. But that is the qualitative difference of the mindfulness. And I hope Venerable Dhammika will agree with me. When we were in Nilambe, we were talking about the choiceless awareness. Ken Wilber's coining. And Godwin was promoting it. At the beginning, for me, it was difficult, but you have to be choicelessly be aware. My attention was with the touch sensation of the end of the nostril or top of the upper lip, but now it has gone to the eardrum with the sound, or eye door with the visual object. That changing, now only you know. That changing, whose agenda? That's a serious question. Even when we have focused the attention to the breath, knowing that it is with the least amount of defilement you are accumulating by be on the ball, be on the breath, be on the mindfulness, so distractions happen. When the distraction happens, if you are sitting in one meditation or maybe 100 people sitting, sound is not the everyone's distraction, even sound happens. Pain is not the everyone's distraction. Even everyone is having a human body. Thinking is not the everyone distraction. Many people say Westerners are with so much of thinking. So Pandita Sayadaw used to say Venerable Sariputta is Western thinker. Venerable Moggallana is Eastern thinker. So you can't say this is better, this is not better. So therefore, each and everyone select his or her own distraction according to his or her underlying tendencies, directed dispositions. So if you are hating the distraction, you are hating to understand who am I. So therefore, if you wish to understand who am I, that will never happen. Sorry, I am stressing it again and again in Samatha meditation. Samatha meditation, you are imbibed, you are absorbed into the object, and just like a fish in a cool season, hibernate. But in a vipassana way, after that, you have open-mindedness, preparedness, mindset. What is the kind of distraction? That distraction indicates, who am I? What am I? And according to the Buddhist explanation, these are your past life tendencies. This is your directed dispositions. Western psychology, there are no such explanation like that, but still Richard Davidson and others says they are genetical. Some people have their own specific desires and hateful situation. So whenever such thing happen, that particular person pick that particular desire or that particular hateful thing, and there we are traveling the world without knowing this agenda, whose agenda we are taken by. And it is like a rope of a bullock cart. That rope is the what controlling the bullock. We call in Sinhala Naslanwa. So we are also carried away by different desires and different hateful situations, unless our friends, unless our mirror of mindfulness, unless our preparedness is there, we will die with the same lot. But if we wish to have some kind of a change in this very life, it is very, very bitter. It is against the grain. It is never expected, because your ego is not happy to understand, or ego is not happy to reveal itself. When it is revealing happen, if you do not have choiceless awareness, if you do not have evenly suspended attention or suspended decision, then you react. So reaction is a must. Of course, it is an evolution. But day by day, you have to understand you are not reacting to everything, everywhere. You are reacting to certain desirable and undesirable things. We call likings and dislikings. This is preferable and this is not preferable. So that preference, that liking and disliking, it is whose agenda? Who put that script into your mind? Have you ever verified that? Is it really bad or is it really good? No. Our parents, our teachers, everyone put that into our mind, and we call that is our upbringing, that is our culture. My prime duty is to protect it. But our parents, our teachers never verified whether it is for your well-being. Of course, distractions are not for the well-being, but it is a kind of a door opening for you to understand, who am I? What are the sensitive points? And therefore, in present day, in the corona situation and Sri Lanka having so much of difficult situations and food problems and aragalaya, all the kinds, but mindful school, no friction, it is growing like anything. It's growing like anything. Because we always get the children, give them a risk in the front of their parents and the teachers, ask them to run a risk. Because Manori and other people too old now. She can't take because they are all crocs. I am also now 72 years. But when I am trying with the children, I ask them. I give a very sharp saw and ask a 6-year-old girl to cut a bamboo tree in a bamboo hedge. And that mother was not happy. And when she was cutting it, very difficult, it split and fallen back. And the girl was running. Then I told, no, you have not finished the job. Cut the balance part also. They are very happy to take. Today, each and every polythene bag, they have printed not for boys, not for children. Every knife they have put not for children. Everything, toys, this is not a toy. Don't give it to the children. But when we were young, all these were in our paraphernalia. We were trained. But present day, so much of restrictions. I know, it must have some certain thing when we are the communities organizing. But in a mindful camp, when in the scout camp, this is the risk we are going to run. And when at the end, when the children found their own ways and means, and at the face of a difficulty, they become so hilarious. They resolve the problems. And if you can tell the child, the problem in a convincing way, split second, he or she will give the answer. But if you are consulting a foreign expert, they will take 6 months. And we have to be so much of things. But they never understand the question. So in Sati Pasala, in Mindful School, our main thing is consider them as a very elderly, very mature people, and they are resistant. Their tolerance capacity is also very high. When the very young children get the terminal level of cancers, they can cope up. But their parents, matrons, and the others, they get upset. But if you go and say, yes, darling, you can't sit and meditate, you can't walk and meditate, but can you feel that you are lying down? Can you see your inability to get up? That is possible. That is not only possible, they feel like smiling. Yes, yes, I can. So when sometimes I pay visit to the prison, yeah, they have done killing and the case they have lost and they are in the row. And even if we ask, while you are walking, while you are standing, can you understand you are not sitting? When you're standing, you can feel both the feet, but you are walking, only 1 foot. 1 foot is taking the weight. And how many steps you can take? This is, Bhante, we being a killer, we have been punished, but even then we can be mindful. We never expected this kind of a thing in a prison. And drug addicts, they also say, if you give a fresh chance, they know. And one thing I learned is, you are never too late. Never too late. Whatever the situation, don't think you have been a failure in the past, you have been lost in the past, no harm. When I meet Venerable Dhammika, I have broken all the precepts. I told him. Luckily, he told, this is nothing, you are a young guy, and this is something related to our age. And I was so happy to tell him, Bhante, this is the mistake I have done. One day, I am repeating, Bhante, but if I am wrong, please correct me. I give up smoking because I had a cough. I had the runny nose. And when I went and happily told Bhante, I am so happy, I stopped smoking. He told, you are a fool, start smoking, keep on. Then I told, you being monk, what are you talking about? No, what you have now stopped is with your will, with your how do you call, abnormal thing. Few weeks time you will start again. Now smoke mindfully. And if I have to add little, when you in-breath the smoke, you can say inhalation. When you out-breath, you can say exhalation. How many smoking you can do? Few weeks time, I practice, and then I not a forceful thing, and smoking stops. It is not a very determination or kind of thing, but do it in a alert way, mindful way, awakened way. And I must say, I must have someone to share with me. Not a spiritual master, not my parents, not my teacher, but that is why I respect the Bhante. I had that opening. We were sharing very, very openly, so that understanding this difficult time, difficult situation are the golden opportunities for you to think about the evolution of you. Otherwise, you are the same old, I don't use the term. If you wish to have that kind of a change, you must have a shareable spiritual friend, that I would say a true person. And you also must be very open and sharing. But in that sense, I think girls are disadvantageous. They can't open because the present day situation is male prominent society. But I, being a boy, I had this opportunity and I made use maximum. So now, even at the age 72, I am ready to take any risk. When I am running this Sati Pasala, so much of things are happening for and against, and many people thinking about my health and my reputation and all. Then I say, if I am doing something correct, Dhamma will protect me. I am taking this decision not for my game and fame and anything, and that is the way it is happening. So that is how the Asu Mahasravaka, the great disciples of the Buddha, they express their special capacities because they tried without any restrictions. So giving a little hint, U Pandita Sayadaw from Burma, he says, as a monk, you can do anything because you are a disciple of Buddha. Who is the Buddha? Buddha is Arahant. Arahant is a qualified person. You try to be a qualified person. Becoming a monk is not a restriction. But if a monk without mindfulness, I can't take responsibilities. If a monk with the present day Sri Lanka situation, the best answer is the monk. There are no any other responsibilities or hinges or any kind of thing. If the monk can take the leadership, no one can come. So that many people consider as a risk lover or kind of a adventurous situation, and usually they don't think that with the monk's life. But I am happy that all the monks that I associated, they had that kind of against the grain characters. And even when I read Tipitaka, Sutta Pitaka, whenever the Buddha referring to this, not that I am against the ethical rights or ethical restraint, not that I am against the concentration restraint, but once that the mindfulness go beyond that, Sati becomes Sati Sampajanya, and Sati go hand in hand with clear comprehension, you open boundless or boundaryless infinitum situation. That is why the Buddha mentioned in the Anapanasati Sutta, Kayanupassana, Vedananupassana, no harm. Before go to the Chittanupassana, the Buddha says, Asampajanasa muttasatis naham bhikkhave anapanasati samadhing vadan. For monks, those who are with the blunt mindfulness and no clear comprehension, they can't have clarity and the concentration in the anapanasati. That means this turning point, it is a must. The turning point is how you tackle this trouble situation or adventures or any person crossing your path. Don't consider it as a mishap, or don't consider it a bad thing for egotism. So if you take it in a constructive way, productive way, then you have your own ways and means. Answer is within. So that is why Eleanor Porter, while writing the Pollyanna, the book for children, it says, you must try to find a reason to be glad under any circumstances. You must try to find a reason to be glad under any circumstances. So parents are going to avoid the bad things and try to give the paved path. But ultimately boys become girls. They do not know how to run a risk. And the school also the same. Weapons also the same. Tools also the same. Technology also the same. So they have to come back on earth, just walk on the barefoot. Just sit and do in-breath and out-breath. And while it is happening, so much of distraction, disturbances. They are the higher syllabuses, higher the question papers, and they have to learn the question. Don't try to help them to give the answers. So you have to learn 21st century learning skills, not the teaching skills. So therefore, I am in a much adventurous situation and advanced, how to say, lucky situation. Things are happening, just like in your walk of life. But everything, I have the answer within the mindfulness. And therefore, I would like to stop the talk at that level, keeping 5 minutes more. So I would like to listen to these venerables and honorables and everything, their views. Please, with compassion, share with us about your opinions. It is the mic over to Manu.
Thank you very much, Bhante, for that very profound practical points that were discussed and brought to light with so much of understanding. I need to make Venerable Olande Ananda also a co-host so that he can unmute. I think that's the way to do it. Can we ask for comments, please? We can start with Bhante Dhammika, because he's already unmuted anyway. While I will somehow unmute, I think I can unmute Venerable Olande Ananda.
Right.
So a co-host.
Right. Ask Venerable Ananda to unmute his computer and.
Well, only now I got the permission, yes.
Right. How are you,
So
Venerable,
nice
after
to
a
see
long
you,
time?
Venerable. Yes, Dhammika, since a long time.
In fact, I hardly recognize you. What happened to you?
I'm not wearing my spectacles,
I see.
and I lost some weight recently.
I think we need to. I think you need to get closer to a microphone or something. At least
Not
I can
really. I'm
hardly hear.
sitting in front of a good laptop here.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know.
Right.
But it's maybe because here you are in Australia, and it's a bit far away.
Ah, now it's clearer.
Reaches you. Yeah, I moved in about 2 inches.
Right.
So anyway, Professor Manori and Venerable Uda-Eriyagama Dhammajiva Mahathero, thank you very much for that talk with lots of what you call practical examples from day-to-day life, as well as the instructions on mindfulness and meditation and samatha, vipassana, etc. Yes, in the case of mindfulness, by the way, I did meet most venerable Webu Sayadaw in Burma, yes, 1977, I think it was. And he was after a stroke, but he sat on the bed and he told me to practice the meditation where you can see the difference between nama and rupa as an important kind of step on the way to vipassana also. And also the importance of loving kindness, metta bhavana. He actually, I think he really exuded, if that's a word. He was example of loving kindness, and he actually gave me very good instructions on that type of meditation, as well as the the practice of vipassana, and especially on the nama rupa paricheda jnana type of things. So with mindfulness and the choiceless awareness that Venerable Dhammajiva just mentioned, that you had been practicing at Nilambe with Venerable Dhammika, and maybe with our friend, the teacher there, it actually came, that word, more from J. Krishnamurti, choiceless awareness, where you are observing and you are mindful of different objects that happen to come to your consciousness through any of the senses. And instead of liking or disliking or clinging to something or judging it, you just observe it without any kind of reaction. So that, as far as I am concerned, that is what is called mindfulness and choiceless awareness, basically. And that is something that I think we should learn to practice, if you want to call it practice, because that will actually help us to get further. If we stay with the beginning practice of, observing this, observing that, choosing this, choosing that as an object, then you are probably staying in a kind of conditioned realm, which is difficult to get out of. Whereas the unconditioned, which we are striving to reach, is beyond that, cannot really be attained through that. There again, J. Krishnamurti said, you cannot reach the unconditioned through the conditioned. It is like a qualitative leap, so to speak. What do you say, Dhammika? You don't have to agree, of course.
Oh yeah, no, I agree completely. I like the term choiceless awareness, but I think you get a similar a term with a similar meaning in the Tipitaka, the Bahya Sutta, Ditte Dittamatang Bhavasati, Sutte Suttamatang. When you hear, you can translate that as when you hear, just hear. Don't add anything to it. Don't judge it. Don't. When you hear, just hear. Ditte Dittamatang. But yes, I agree with you completely.
No, but that's true. All these senses objects can be just experienced without reaction, basically.
Mm-hmm. Well, once in Nilambe, I had a very interesting experience. I'll share it with you. It was during the rainy season, and I was conducting a meditation course. There was about 60 young Westerners there, and I would see each of them each day and ask them how they were going. And I recall one young woman coming and how are you going? And she said, I'm finding it very difficult because of the dripping tap. And then she said, it's going drip, 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 drip. And so I asked her to just try to be aware of it and be detached from it. And then she said, okay, and she went off. And then I thought, dripping tap. We don't have any taps up at Nilambe. They're down in the bathroom there. And then I listened. It's the little Gemba up there in the mountains. You get these small green frogs, and they get in the guttering of the roof of the meditation center, and they go rip, 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 rip like this, just near where she was sitting, and she thought it was a dripping tap, and it was driving her crazy. Anyway, I thought that was very interesting. Anyway, when we had a tea break, I went outside and I put my hand along the guttering on the edge of the roof, and indeed I got one of the little frogs.
But it's poisonous, no?
No, these are little green ones, and underneath they're yellow. They're beautiful little frog. Anyway, I kept this little frog in my hand, and this woman was sitting out having a cup of tea, and I said, you know that dripping tap that was driving you crazy? She said, yes. I said, it's actually a frog, look. And I opened my hand, and that little frog was so cooperative. As soon as I opened my hand, he went rip, 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 rip.
And she said, that's it.
She was absolutely delighted. Huh? Then we talked about it a little bit, and that was the end of it. But then when I talked to her that afternoon and the next day, she told me, yes, she can still hear the frog, but it's not a problem anymore. And I thought, isn't that fascinating? She hears a sound, she thinks it's a mechanical, distracting sound, and it drives her crazy. When she finds out that it's not actually a man-made dripping tap sound, it's a lovely little frog sound, she hears exactly the same sound, and it's not a problem anymore. So when we are meditating, what is the problem? Is it the lawnmower in the house next door? Or is it that sound coming from the kitchen? Or is it how you respond to, what you think about, what you read into that sound, or that thought, or that feeling? In other words, you might even say there aren't any distractions. There's only being distracted. So if I have an experience and I don't like it, it becomes a problem. Or I project problem onto it. Or if it's a very pleasant sound and I want it, I like it, once again, it becomes a problem. Whereas if I stop doing that or gradually train myself just to, if you like, ditte dittamatang, sutte suttamatang, or just be aware of whatever is happening without reacting to it. Or if you do react to it, try to understand that there it is, just a phenomena happening in the universe, and you're projecting either like or dislike or want or not want onto it, and miraculously it becomes a problem. That's the 600th time I've told that story about the frog, and I like to tell the frog story because it's actually true. You create the problem by reacting to what you call a distraction. But if you can just have what you said and what Venerable said, Venerable Dhammajiva said, just to be a still center, experience each thing that comes along and not reacting to it. And when, as occasionally it will happen, there are no experiences or no obvious experiences, then you do choose something. You choose your breath. You keep on your breath. Then when a sound or a feeling comes up, you become aware of that. And then if there's nothing else, you become aware of your breath. You choose to do that. I think that's, you'd be surprised how pleasant half an hour sitting or 3/4 of an hour sitting can be if you react like that, or if you train yourself to be like that. But I admit it's so different from what we normally do that it does take time to retrain ourselves to behave more constructively. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Dripping.
Well, I
Olande,
would still add, maybe I would like to just add one sound which I really dislike, and that is the sound of a saw, mechanical saw that cuts trees, branches of trees. You know, it's very annoying.
Back and forward, so yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I'll have to take it next time as a training object and see whether I can manage to not react.
Well, Venerable,
Bhante,
yes.
Bhante, Olande.
Yes, Ananda is my name.
සිංහලෙන් කියන්නකො මොනවද පොඩ්ඩක් මිනිසුන්ට අහන්නත් එක්ක.
It depends if everybody is Sinhala speaking.
Because Venerable Dhammika, he can't speak Sinhala. You can.
You don't know, he does.
No.
He can teach Sinhala, no. Anyway.
ඔබ වහන්සේට පුළුවන් හොඳට පුළුවන්.
කවුද කතා කරන්නේ if I may know?
ධම්මජීව හාමුදුරුවෝ කතා කරන්නේ මේ circular saw එකකින් ගහක් කපන එක ගැන සිංහලෙන් කියන්නකෝ.
ඒක කියන්න ඕනද?
ඒක සිංහලෙන් කියන්නකෝ එතකොට කට්ටිය අහගෙන ඉන්නේ හොඳට.
Actually, this was no. Since 100 years, the servants of the Buddha have been an organization listening to the Dhamma in English every Saturday. So I think it's not necessary for that simple little story taking up more time to explain that because everybody understands. Why should I show off my Sinhala also?
This is my humble request.
Yes. And this is my humble refusal.
Rejection.
Venerable Ananda, you may be interested to know that now I live in a very small house on an island about 20 kilometers off the coast of Australia.
Which part of the coast?
Well, it's on the east coast, in the far north of Australia.
Okay.
And it's about 80% a national park, so I'm pretty much surrounded by forest. But when I finally left Singapore, 2017, somebody gave me a house to stay in the nearby town, which is on the mainland. And it was really actually, yes. Yeah. It's really quite a suitable house. It was near the shops and what have you and that. But I very quickly learned that there was a serious problem there. And that is the people on this side, the neighbors on this side had 3 dogs. And the people on the other side had 2 dogs. And the house behind me had 1 dog. And when one of these dogs would start barking, all the others would. And particularly the house on this side, which had 3 dogs, they barked all of the time. And so I did what I always do, ditte dittamatang, sutte suttamatang. But after a while, it started to get me down. Even though I realized sometimes I would be really fed up, particularly late at night. And one thing that helped me to try to deal with this problem is that when I was really very, very frustrated, I kept on reminding myself that those people who live in that house with that 3 dogs doesn't seem to worry them. You understand? And it got to the stage
love
where
the dogs.
But they are hearing the same sound that I'm hearing, and in fact must have been hearing it even longer than I've been hearing it, but it never seemed to worry them. And in fact, from my window, I could see their lounge room, and I could always tell when they had the television on because I could see a sort of a blue light through the window. And these 3 dogs would be barking, much louder than the television, but it didn't seem to worry them. However, the point of my story is going to be this. after 2 years, I honestly couldn't take it anymore. And I moved out to where I am now only to get away from the sound. Now, the point I want to make here is I think it's important to point out to people who are taking meditation seriously that unless you're an arahat, you probably will have your limits. And you probably can't deal with every situation in a Dhammik and skillful way. And I think the advice the Buddha gives in the Sabbasava Sutta, that there are different ways of dealing with problems, and one of the ways is moving. It's simply getting away from the problem. I think it's important for anybody who's not quite an arahat yet to remember that. So I think that many of the problems that we have, we've created from our own reactions, but there are other situations that we have deal with that external ones, like say a continually barking dog, which you may do your best to try to deal with, but you may the situation may be such that it's beyond you at your present stage of development. And so one thing is you simply accept that you can't deal with it at present and you go somewhere else. Like say, if you're working in an office and there's a very obnoxious person there and you've tried everything you could to get along with them, but you can't anymore. If it's possible, leave your job and go somewhere else. And don't see that as a defeat. See it as, well, now I know I'm up to this level. I can't deal with everything right now. Because I think we need to remind meditators of this, because I meet so many meditators who end up giving up because they couldn't, they had expectations beyond their present level. So I always say to people, in fact, Godwin used to say that, and only he put it a different way. He used to say, it's okay to be not okay. You understand what I mean?
Yep. Of course, he stayed in a beautiful place, quiet. And,
of course, yeah. But he did have his problems from time to time. I don't know anywhere where he couldn't deal with it, but that was one of his saying. It's okay to be not okay.
First, I thought when you mentioned about the house with all the dogs around there, and you moved out, I thought perhaps you're going to offer the house to me. But I have to refuse it anyway. And are you close to Cairns, by the way? Cairns in the north.
I'm about good point. Yeah, I'm about 300 kilometers south of Cairns.
Oh, I see. Right.
And that makes me about 1,000 kilometers north of Brisbane. So
yeah. I've been to that. I have a friend there in Byfield, if you know where Byfield is. Yes.
No, I don't.
No, it's a very small town.
I used to go there regularly before, long ago when I was a kid, but I haven't been there for many years.
Yeah. This is close to Yeppoon, if you know where Yeppoon is.
Oh, well, I know where Yeppoon is, yeah.
Yes, okay. Right, beautiful.
Venerable Dhammajiva Swami Mahathero, would you like to add anything? It has been a tremendous honor to have all three Bhantes at the same platform together today. It has been a very, very useful, and not often that we hear all these aspects, and the way Venerable Dhammajiva explained it and taking us to the very point of how to handle it and getting us to, and then giving the answer. So much merit, Bhante. Would you like to say something in conclusion?
Yes, I am remembering. I am going back 40 years back. 40 years back only, we were working in Kandy, the Patima Retreat Center, Nilambe, and everywhere. In my Dhamma talks, I often remember how much it was a turning time for me. So therefore, Manori is setting another broker job, connecting us again and again. Thank you very much. And because these venerables, they have never changed. They are ever becoming fresh, ever become beginners, happy to share with us. And otherwise, I am being a Sri Lankan, I wouldn't have. I had no chance to go to Western countries, to Australia, but they came in the proper time. Kandy came to Kandy and gave me such a tremendous thing. I am just a beginner. So whenever Venerable Dhammika comes, I say that he is the person gave me this turning point. And Venerable Olande Ananda, that I admire him, how much he is happy with Sri Lankan atmosphere and helping as much as possible Sri Lankan youngsters. So therefore, Manori, no words. I'm so happy and thank you for your humble participation. And it is going, I become 40 years young, backward. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Bhante. And I really am most grateful because at 3:15 this afternoon, we started at 4:30. I found Venerable Dhammajiva in somewhere in Polonnaruwa in a remote area, and he showed me on the WhatsApp the video, amazing cave, and with a pond near it, a rock cave. That are very difficult to describe in words, very idyllic, very ideal sort of, one wonders we must be far away from the ideal living here in Colombo when I saw that cave. But Venerable Dhammajiva then drove to an area better internet. Within an hour, by 4:15 he had logged in. So that was, of course, the typical of Venerable Dhammajiva. He can do amazing things. So much merit, Bhante, for having given this discourse, which was so valuable, and Venerable Ananda and Venerable Dhammika for having joined. It has been and also contributed to the discussion. So sort of very fruitful. Much merit to all three Bhantes and to all the Dhamma friends who were joined today. Were fortunate enough, I think, to listen to all this. I will now stop the recording.
Can I say something just before you finish?
Yes, please.
I'd just like to, I don't know how many people you've got there. Janaka and
there are 36. 36, Bhante. 36 participants, Bhante.
Oh, there are 36, thank you. Oh, well, that's very good. I'd just like to maybe mention that my new book has just come out. It's called Footprints in the Dust, The Life of the Buddha from the Earliest Sources. And this is, there are plenty of books on the life of the Buddha, although there are none as good as this. But the difference for this book is it is based only on passages from the Tipitaka. So I have, so far, I think I've only ever seen one book that does that, and that's Nyanamoli's famous one. But in this case, I haven't simply just quoted passages. I have just picked out every little side comment which tells you something about the Buddha, his appearance, his food, his dress, his personality, how he related to critics, etc. And it presents a very different view of the Buddha. So if you're interested, it's available on, what is it called, Amazon. I don't know whether you can get Amazon in Sri Lanka, but it's nearly 300 pages. And I think it's quite a unique look at the life of the Buddha. And if you're interested, you might like to get a copy of it. That's all.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you.
And I have read that book, Bhante, thanks to
Oh,
Bhante.
you did?
Sent one. And it is amazing. Even little things like the rivers, I was impressed why there were so many rivers, or every
You
little
noticed that. You noticed that, did you?
and the lack of bridges and the need to walk along the rivers for a long time. And of course, the river was an amazing simile because it's like what life is, changing every moment, but looks like one flow, one object.
Well, one thing I found very interesting, and I went through the Tipitaka very, very carefully, is it often mentions the Buddha meditating, but I was only able to find 2 places where it mentions what type of meditation he's doing. And when I realized this, I thought, this is very curious. And I went through all the sources again, and I could find only 2 places. So very frequently the Buddha talks about how to meditate and what type of meditation and how to do it and what can you expect from doing it. But actually texts that talk about or that mention what type of meditation he did, there are very, very few, which I find very interesting.
And probably Bhante, that title, I thought, because I believe Bhante has walked from Gaya to Saranath, that same trek, haven't you?
I did that. That was when I was a young whippersnapper monk. I don't think I could do it now. Yeah. Not only that, I walk without any shoes and without any money. Yeah. Oh, but that's a long time ago.
Bhante, would you like to end this session with the Anumodana to the Devas and the departed, Bhante, please? I'm sure Venerable Dhammajiva would like you to do that and end this session.
We will do the traditional way by delivering talk and participating into this live discussion. Whatever the merits we have gained, we are sharing with all the seen and unseen beings. May all be healthy, wealthy, and happy. With that idea in our mind, we are going to recite traditional stanzas. Those who know may follow, others may listen attentively. Ittavatacha ammehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbi deva anumodantu sarva sampatti. Ittavatacha ammehi
Sampadang punya sampadang
sabbi bhuta
anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhi.
ittavatacha
Ittavatachamehi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya.
Sattha ca bummattha diva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu sasanam. Akasattha ca bummattha diva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu desanam. Akasattha ca bummattha diva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu mang parang. Idang vo jnatinang hotu sukhita hontu jnatayo. Idang vo jnatinang hotu sukhita hontu jnatayo. Idang vo jnatinang hotu Sukhita hontu jnatayo. Imina Nakammine Mami Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Hotu Yavanipana Patya Imina Punya Kammene Mami Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Hotu Yavanipana Patya Mina Punya Kammene Mami Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Hotu Yava Nibbana Patya Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu.
Much merit, Bhante, and may all three Bhantes lead long and happy lives and fulfill all their spiritual aspirations in this life itself. And to all Dhamma friends who joined and all those who helped to make this a success, especially to Venerable Dhammajiva, who is now still in the Vayamba province. He stopped over to give this desana, and he's going to travel now into the night, coming to Colombo. Safe journey, Bhante, and I will then end this session, this awesome session. Much merit to everyone. Thank you for the participation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you.
I will end the session then.